The sport which never sleeps, the story which never stops. Button wins. It's a 1-2 for Red Bull. Rubens Barrichello is firmly in the championship picture.
Brilliant drive.
It's a masterful drive.
You are the man.
This is Formula One.
Formula One is in disarray just 9 days after the most they now appear to
Lewis Hamilton could face the threat of suspension.
Lewis Hamilton to let Jarno Trulli pass.
I couldn't tell you how sorry I am.
And Jenson Button wins the Australian Grand Prix in a dream
Winner in Melbourne, winner in Malaysia, winner in Bahrain, and he's done it again.
Formula One has been thrown into chaos with 8 of its major teams.
Brawn, McLaren and Red Bull plan to break away and form their own series next season.
It's in the nature of a Looney that you don't really have a leader, that you're all sort of Loonies together.
With Jenson Button 6 out of 7 races, that championship is getting ever nearer.
Driver Felipe Massa is in intensive care
Struck on
tonight.
the crash helmets with a piece of metal. Massa was knocked unconscious.
Brazilian underwent surgery to a fractured skull.
Yeah, we know there's a risk in motor racing, but you hate to see those things happen.
Oh, all sorts of problems there. That's the last thing they needed to do. First time in 5 years, Rubens Barrichello is a winner in Formula. Rubens Barrichello is firmly in the championship picture.
Michael Schumacher is returning to Formula One with Ferrari.
He found that his 40-year-old neck could no longer stand the
dream for millions of motor racing fans to come to a shuddering halt.
Sebastian Vettel keeps alive his chances in the Drivers' Championship.
Now, the latest scandal in the world of Formula One involves the Renault team.
Renault resign ahead of the meeting over race fixing at last year's Singapore.
Flavio Briatore, an executive director of engineering, Pat Simmons, have stepped down.
A 2-year suspended ban for Renault, an indefinite ban for Briatore.
It's been a season of drama, suspense, intrigue and scandal. But is today's headline going to be about the world champion?
So, 10 years after he first burst onto the scene as an excitable, promising youngster, is Jenson Button finally going to fulfil all those early expectations and put this protracted push to the World Championship behind him? Welcome to the Brazilian Grand Prix Live. And as we found out 12 months ago, this race is rarely a straightforward Sunday afternoon drive, is it? David Coulthard and Eddie Jordan alongside me. And Eddie, yesterday the rain was wonderful, it made it all very exciting, but I think we have had enough rain for this weekend. There are a few other things to get excited about now.
Well, I'm full of anticipation for a superb race. I really think it's now all lined up. The grid is perfectly formed. Let's hope we can have a really good, dry race.
We'll show you what the grid looks like with the story of qualifying very shortly. But for people tuning into this, they've just had their Sunday lunch, they might be feeling very slightly dozy as their sort of Sunday lunch kicks in. But this is a race that rarely disappoints. They need to stay awake for this.
Yeah, absolutely. The last 4 World Championships have been decided at this very circuit. And it's possible, it's an outside shot, but it's possible it will happen again this weekend.
Right, here we go then. Just 71 laps potentially separates Jenson Button from being crowned the Formula One World Champion. And what a place to do it, if indeed he does manage that feat. We're here in the hills high above Sao Paulo City, 800 metres above sea level, where the air's a little thinner, but the atmosphere is as electric as any other stop on Formula One's global roadshow. It may be 18 years since the Paulistas were cheering Ayrton Senna to victory here in his championship-winning season, but their drought of success since then has done nothing to dampen spirits or passion for Formula One, particularly with another Brazilian doing his best to bring success back to South America. Because if Jenson Button's unable to make his dream a reality this afternoon, it's likely to be because Rubens Barrichello, born a stone's throw from the circuit, has done his bit to take the championship to the final weekend. Jenson's teammate currently trails by 14 points, with Red Bull's Sebastian Vettel a further 2 points back. Now, if Jenson can keep that lead to 10 points or more by the end of this race, he will be the world champion. And here's why he still enjoys such a considerable advantage. His early season form of 6 wins from the first 7 races means that despite no win since June, he's still hot favourite to wrap up the title either here or in 2 weeks' time in the Abu Dhabi desert. So the potential is there for the first back-to-back British world champions for the first time in 40 years. But I'm sure all you Strictly Come Dancing fans can testify that Formula One is very rarely a straightforward sport. An awful lot can happen between now and the end of the race, particularly if qualifying is anything to go by. Here's Lee Mackenzie with the story of an amazing Saturday.
Interlagos translates as between the lakes, and as qualifying got underway, the circuit was quickly turning into more of a water feature than a racetrack. Giancarlo Fisichella was the first victim, caught out by standing water and the anti-stall system, which kicked in and scuppered any chance of his prancing horse rejoining. Also struggling to keep his animal on the road was title contender Sebastian Vettel. His Red Bull lacked grip and momentum, and the crucial front of grid start didn't materialise, leaving Vettel out in Q1 and emotional.
Yeah, in the dry we were very competitive. In the wet we should be as well. So, as I said, there wasn't much missing. So it's not, a question of pace. It's more of timing today. But now we are in the back. So we for sure tomorrow when we start, the knife will be in between our teeth, and we will try to do the best.
The McLarens were also running a compromised setup, more suited to a dry race than a washed-out qualifying, and that certainly didn't help the cause of Lewis Hamilton.
Terrible out there, you can't really see too much anyway, but wow, our car was so bad in the wet. You couldn't go flat out down the straight. That's how little grip I had. So it was pretty poor performance by us, but we did the best job we could.
Conditions worsened, and this spectacular crash by Tonio Liuzzi brought out a red flag, which saw the session stop for over an hour. Despite the delay, teams and drivers remained confident that the weather would clear and qualifying would be completed, and their patience proved correct.
We have cars out on track, praise be.
Q2 resumed in the dry, although the track remained wet. Championship leader Jenson Button struggled on wet tyres, and as other teams slotted on intermediates, the Brawn chose to stay out on track. 2 qualifying sessions down, 2 title contenders out.
At the start of the session, I had way too much understeer in the car on that run when the circuit wasn't wet like it was in the first session. And I couldn't do anything with the car, and then on lap 3, the rear started going away, so that was it. The only mistake, I think, not putting the inters on at the end.
It was a tough introduction to the world of Formula One for Kamui Kobayashi, who's making his debut this weekend. But he brought his Toyota back an admirable 11th.
I was a little bit worried in the beginning of the session because I have no experience on this track with wet condition. So, I tried to do the best. And until last lap, I was no mistake, but the last lap I had a mistake and I missed Q3. But I think it's for me now.
The top 10 headed into battle. Local hero Rubens Barrichello showed early form, but his time was quickly eclipsed by Webber. Trulli and Kubica threw down the gauntlet, but provisional pole changed as quickly as the track dried out. Nico Rosberg had impressed with his speed in qualifying 1 and 2, but that promise could not be converted into a top place on the grid.
We're quickest out there. We have the quickest car, quickest package, and we're P7, so that doesn't really make sense. We really messed up, I think, today. Really useless, I think, as a whole team. So that's not good.
The Brawn of Barrichello blitzed round his home track, taking a stunning pole position. It was there to be beaten. Mark Webber tried his hardest, but had to settle for second, with Adrian Sutil scoring a fantastic third in the Force India. Rubens gets his first pole in 87 races.
You beauty! That is P1 in Brazil, dude! That is P1 in Brazil. Jenson Button, P14. Sebastian Vettel, P16. Where are you now?
3 qualifying sessions over, 1 title contender on pole. So Rubens Barrichello hopes to improve on his dismal record at Interlagos, and it started well so far. Alongside him is Mark Webber. Experienced Raikkonen has the inexperienced Buemi alongside, with a frustrated Rosberg behind. Kobayashi is under pressure with his first ever F1 start today. Jenson Button starts from 14th, and a 5-place grid penalty for a gearbox change for Tonio Liuzzi puts the Red Bull of Sebastian Vettel right on Button's shoulder. Liuzzi will start from the back of the grid.
What a session, and it's busy in Rubens Barrichello's garage. All of the guys just putting the finishing touches to the car, getting it ready to go out. That is the car that will start on pole position, and it was a dramatic and incredible qualifying session. Not great for all of Jenson Button's fans who are watching this at home, but actually, the way the cars are spaced, it sets it up really nicely for this race.
Well, it does. It was more like an endurance event than a qualifying session. I think it went on for over 2 hours, but yeah, it just didn't work for Jenson when he went on that hot lap. And these tyres they're so temperature sensitive that if he had a slow out lap, then you just wouldn't get it working for him.
Let's make it clear to people at home and just discuss what each driver has to do to stay in the hunt or to win the world title today. First of all, Sebastian Vettel, I suppose the guy that we'd say is in the worst position out there at the moment. He starts 15th on the grid and has to finish either first or second. What kind of race are you expecting from him, Eddie?
Absolute fireworks. We're going to see a different race than we've ever seen throughout the whole of this season, because different people have different agendas, and he has one agenda, and that is he has to be right at the front at the end of the race. Otherwise it's over for him, and it's a great opportunity for him to show.
Really, for Sebastian Vettel, he needs a safety car at a key moment to get him back into this race. Without a win, his championship chances are over.
Our concern with Jenson be that he's got 3 rookies right in front of him, and he's got a guy who really is on a mission alongside him coming into the first turn here. And as you know from 12 months ago, the first couple of twists and turns of this circuit can be quite catastrophic.
I think it'll definitely be part of Jenson's thought process going into this race, and just behind them as well, they have the 2 McLarens with the KERS system. They can deploy that at the start. So this is not going to be a straightforward first lap for Jenson, and he'll be desperate to try and get through those very difficult first 2 turns.
Now, Jenson Button could score no points here this afternoon and still be crowned the world champion. It all depends on what the other drivers do. So let's say that Rubens Barrichello keeps hold of his top spot. That means Jenson Button needs to finish on the podium in 3rd position. If Rubens only comes in 2nd, then Jenson needs to be 5th on the grid. What will he be doing throughout the race? Will he be asking Shove and his guys on the pit wall to keep telling him where Rubens is and what he needs to do to be in that championship window?
I don't think he'll be asking the question. I think the team will already know to give him that information as the race is unfolding, and he'll be very aware that he's got to get himself into some decent points here, otherwise it's just going to be slipping away.
Okay.
I think that there's also another aspect to this, and that is for the first time that there are 2 teams. There are 2 different teams within the Brawn team, because they've had to split it because they are so close, and to play it fair, each, I would say, now runs their own race.
Well, it was a fascinating end to qualifying yesterday. The roar that went up from the crowd here, because, of course, Rubens Barrichello is the Brazilian home favourite. They used to call him Schumacher's tortoise when he wasn't too fast in his Ferrari days, and there he is alongside current Ferrari driver Felipe Massa. We'll be hearing from Felipe Massa live very shortly in our build-up to the race this afternoon. Of course, Felipe hasn't been racing after his accident in Hungary. Right, so Rubens Barrichello, an emotional qualifying session, and last night I caught up with him. Rubens, we can see the team working away on the car behind us. They're preparing it for you to start from pole in Sunday's race. You've done your bit, and now it's their turn to get working hard. And it was hard to know at the end of qualifying who was more excited, you or your team.
Rubens Barrichello knows the time to beat, and he's done it!
My engineer was, Jock Clear, was so loud on the radio and everything. It was really good, but it's the first phase of achieving a dream. And I'm feeling very good because I have 2 situations here. One situation is that I'm fighting for the championship, but the other one is that I've always fought to win the Brazilian GP, which takes me away from the pressure of the championship itself. I want to win the race because I think I deserve from a long time, and because I think I'm up for it.
When you crossed the line today, it was incredible. Could you hear the crowd even over the noise of the engine as you took pole?
The fact is, I was waiting for Jock Clear to come on the radio and say, you are on pole. And he was waiting for some other cars to cross, obviously. And I kept an eye on the public. The public was up. I knew something was good. But I didn't know until turn 10 when he came and said, you are on pole.
We've heard some emotional outbursts over team radios this season. I think Jock's was something special, wasn't it?
You beauty! That is P1 in Brazil, dude!
Well, it was a bit too much, to be honest with you.
Jenson Button, P14. Sebastian Vettel, P16. Where are you now?
At that time I was going, Jock, just keep it cool, keep it cool. I mean, we're just one phase, but it's, sometimes in life you just need to put it out. And I think he did it rightly, because it is pressure from one side. One side fights the other side. It's normal. But it's been healthy. It's been, it's been respectful.
So regardless of how it happens and how it pans out over the next 2 races, you and Jenson are friends at the moment?
We will always be. If it depends on me, it's going to be the case. We were friends when he won 6th race, so there shouldn't be any different right now. It's a tough time, obviously, for him. Although, if you just remember that he still has 14 points advantage, it's still very good for his mind game anyway. But I know that playing catch-up is better because you have the freedom just to risk it, and that's how I put it today.
So will that be your mindset when you're sitting on pole tomorrow? It's all about just relaxing, knowing what you've got to do, going out there, and as you say, getting the win that you believe is possible.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I want for tomorrow. Just have a quiet time at home now. I will have a nice night just because it's good to be at home anyway. It's your pillow, your mattress, everything. So it's for me it makes it's more relaxed to be at the front than at the back. So and then tomorrow is just a flat out. That's all I want for tomorrow.
How important are these boys behind you?
They're lovely. I tell you, we put a group that is very well mature, and they are behind me, you know. It's not just that one group fights the other group. They have a good relationship altogether, and I can see this when I put the go-kart event. They all race against each other. Somebody bumps the other guys, and you see some. Did
you not beat them all?
I had to, because this is my job, not their job. But they're so important.
And finally, if we see you on the top step of the podium tomorrow, champagne in hand, a grin as big as the one you're sporting at the moment, what will be going through your mind?
I don't know, I'll probably be crying the hell of it, so I don't know. You know, I was born here. I was born 2 minutes from here. I was born in Interlagos. Some people that I look at the tribune or the grandstand, I might know them from school, and so it's a very emotional moment. I am doing quite well to keep that aside, but a special race tomorrow will definitely bring it from inside.
Talk about a fairy tale, eh?
Yeah, that's a fairy tale.
Well, Eddie, Rubens has finished second in the Drivers' Championship twice. He has a dismal record racing here in Brazil. He's now pushing for the world title once more, but looking at him there last night, you wouldn't have known that there was an ounce of pressure on the man, would you?
And there probably isn't. He's actually emerged. We had a couple of days with him earlier in the year, which was on the television, as we know, and he has developed as such a mature person over these last number of years into a spectacular sports person and a great people that the Brazilian people can get behind. I think he can win this race. I personally hope he does for his own career. It will be a real fairy tale, as he spoke about.
And that little outburst from Jock Clear, his race engineer, asking where Jenson Button is, does that give us quite a rare emotional insight into what's actually going on inside this garage behind us?
I think it's one of the unique aspects of Formula One, because it is a team sport, but you've got two teams within a team that are constantly battling to try and get the upper hand. And it's inevitable that one race engineer is going to be delighted if his driver performs and the other one doesn't. And, you know, hopefully we can explore that whole scenario more as the weekend goes on.
Do you agree with Eddie? No pressure on Rubens Barrichello? You'd think that there's huge pressure on the guy.
But it's all relative. What he sees as pressure and what you might imagine as pressure, for him, his environment is in the race car. He's a tremendously experienced Grand Prix driver. He's been here many times. He's at home with a family. You could see his wife and his kids there yesterday when they were out qualifying. His parents were here. I think he's just enjoying the moment. Remember, he went through the winter without a contract. He didn't know he was going to be a Grand Prix driver until quite late this season.
OK, well, if Rubens is enjoying the moment, what about the fans here? They went wild when he crossed the line, and they weren't the only ones. Have a listen to the Brazilian version of Jonathan Ledyard.
Eu sou Barrichello. Vambora que eu sou Rubinho. Vambora que eu sou Rubinho. Acelera, Rubinho, capricha. É só agora. Acerta, acerta. No café. Pé no fundo, pé no fundo. Pé no fundo pra pole vir aí. Acelera, Rubinho. Acelera. Rubens Barrichello. Rubens Barrichello, 19.576. E Rubens Barrichello do Brasil é pole position.
Brasil.
Rubinho é pole.
Oh, fantastic. The team, the family, the race commentator, everybody very excited indeed, and all of them hoping that this car will end up at the very front of the pack at the end of today's race, take the checkered flag first and keep Rubens Barrichello in the hunt for the world title. But we've spoken about pressure, and pressure is something that these Brazilian fans really do put on their drivers because they crave success. 1991 was when Ayrton Senna last won the world title, and he was a Brazilian, of course. Now, this season, it's been all bad. Felipe Massa had his nasty accident, and Nelson Piquet, of course, was fired by Renault and then admitted that he crashed at the Singapore Grand Prix. All of these little incidents just adding to the pressure for Brazil's #1 driver.
Brazil can be quite tough and quite supportive on the same way, wishing that we have a new world champion.
haven't won for so many years. It's your chance. You got to give us that feeling. But I have that feeling too. I want to do it. I've always been quite good here, and I've always been competitive. So I just got to go for it. I'm at home, man. This is a good energy. It's a good vibe. Wet or dry, just flat out and try to win the race that I've been fighting for 17 years. So it's as simple as that.
So limited success here in Brazil at the moment, and one guy who can actually help bring some success is Jock Clear, who's Rubens' race engineer. We're now going to just pop into the garage and see if, excuse me, can I just spin past, see if we can have a quick chat with him live. Jock, we're looking for Jenson Button. Where is he now?
I'm obviously not the man to ask, am I?
No, that was a nice moment on the radio there. Is that just an example for everybody at home, how much this means, not just to someone like Rubens, who we see as the guy in the car, but all of the guys here in the garage who've been working on this car all season long?
Absolutely. Obviously, there's been a whole load of momentum on this side of the garage, and Jenson's the man out front and up, to be beaten. And we're feeling that momentum, and everybody is just willing Rubens on today on this side of the garage. Obviously, we wish Jenson luck, but there's a bit of rivalry between the two. Yeah.
You don't keep these tyres here to prevent fights, do you?
Sorry?
You don't keep these tyres here to prevent fights from happening with the other side of the garage?
At this stage in the season, that's probably what they're here for, yeah. In fact, we're considering having a full partition for the next race.
Very funny. And finally, we all know how Rubens is going to tackle this race. He's going to go for it. What will you be telling him on the pit wall? Will you be keeping him abreast of what's happening with his other two championship rivals?
Probably not keeping him abreast of what's happening. I mean, he wants to win here, desperately wants to win, and I'll be keeping him informed of what Webber's doing, what Suttil's doing. Obviously, if those two become a factor, then we've gone wrong somewhere, or there's been a big change of conditions or whatever. But given that it's going to be a quite a simple, calm race, Rubens will want to lead it from the front, and Webber's going to be his challenge.
OK, well, perhaps another nice outburst from you on the radio after today's race. Thanks very much for talking to us. Good luck. I know the pressure is big, and you're looking actually quite nervous at the moment. Of course, he will absolutely have one eye on Jenson Button, won't he? And what a strange few races it's been for Jenson Button. Fantastic start to the season. Won 6 of the first 7 races, and then suddenly the winds dried up and the pressure became high.
Button wins. Winner in Melbourne, winner in Malaysia, winner in Bahrain, and he's done it again.
This could well be a pivotal point of this Grand Prix season.
7 seconds down already. What a shock for him. 2 weeks ago, he'd already got the lead.
Go on, Jenson, you need these points today.
Jenson Button's run is over. It's not the victory so craved for at Silverstone.
The championship is definitely turning around.
Jenson Button slipping down.
Guys, I'm already getting oversteer. How could this car be so bad at the moment?
Button really under pressure even to take home 1 World Championship point.
This has been a shocking start by Jenson Button, the championship leader. Going from bad to worse for Jenson Button. He's finished in the points every race so far, down in 14th and seemingly out of the race now.
That's not fast enough to get himself up into a serious points haul.
Button in 8th. The championship stays on ice, the champagne stays on ice.
And there is the World Championship leader in his garage at the moment, starting today's race from 14th position, just putting on his helmet and his hands device. He will know precisely what he needs to do this afternoon, and what he won't want is a race similar to some of those that he's been through just lately, because it really has just been damage limitation for him, trying to keep his nearest rivals as close to him as possible. And actually today, damage limitation could determine where the World Championship title ends up.
And this could be curtains for Jenson Button.
I just don't think he's got the grip.
Way off. The championship leader will not be going into Q3 just when he needed a top-level performance. It hasn't happened.
Today was absolutely shocking. I mean, the frustrating thing is that this morning in practice the car was good in the wet and my pace was good, and in Q1 the pace was good. Eventually when we got out in Q2 I just had massive understeer, and there's nothing I could have done on the, the first, you needed to get a lap in the first 2 laps when there was still water to pass through the tyre, the X-wet. After that it just went greasy, and then the tyre just slides because it's not actually being used properly, so yeah, really disappointed. I haven't started inside the top 10 for the last 3 races, so very frustrating, and really it is difficult to keep your head high, but I've got good people around me that have already sorted me out. Because I felt pretty crappy after the session.
I'm surprised you say you felt bad, because
you know, it was rain affected. It wasn't that you failed personally.
Yeah, I know, but this is a team sport, and you all choose together what you run, the setup you run, and the tyres you choose in the session. So we win and we fail together, and that's the way it should be.
On the first couple of laps, I couldn't do anything because I had so much understeer in the car.
Very firm now. We should have been on Inter's, Jensen.
Today was a poor day because we have a car that's quick in the wet, and Rubens proved that. I think it was a much better car in intermediates than it was in ex-wet, but yeah, Rubens being on pole, moved down in 14th is it's obviously not good for the championship and not good for my race result tomorrow. But I've started further back and had a good race, and in 06 I started 14th here and finished third. So there's a lot to play for tomorrow, and I'm excited. There's a few of us that are going to be fighting through the field, I have a feeling. I've got Seb next to me and Lewis just behind, so it's going to be a good race tomorrow, I think. And you know, as Seb said in one of his interviews, you can win from 16th, you can win from 14th, and that's my aim tomorrow.
Well, Jensen says you can win from the position he's on the grid. Ironically, in 2006, Eddie, he started 14th and ended up third. Now, if that happens in this race, he's going to be crowned world champion. So it's not a write-off yet. This can be done. He can still save this race, can't he?
Anything can happen in Brazil. You can have a safety car quite easily, first corner. Like David last year, you can have a rain at any given moment. It's so unpredictable here, anything could happen, so do not write off Jenson Button just yet.
David?
Well, absolutely. You know, it's checker flag that decides who's the winner, so there's a long way to go, but it is going to be an uphill struggle.
OK, well, one man who would love to be in a car fighting for the world title at the moment is Felipe Massa. Of course, he hasn't been in a Ferrari since his accident in Budapest a few races ago. A nasty incident, which means that he won't return to Formula One until the 2010 season. But that doesn't mean that he can't hang out in the paddock with all of his old friends and find out what's been going on while he's been away. And we're here with him now. Felipe, we've just seen your accident on the screen there. Must feel like a very long time ago for you now. You're back in Formula One and you seem to be healing brilliantly.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine. I mean, definitely I wanted to be in the track racing, but I'm really okay after the accident. Everything was very good, you know, the recovery. And I'm just looking forward for the beginning of next season now. And also to see a nice race here in Interlagos, especially from Ferrari, but also from Rubens.
You've spoken a lot about driving the car and wanting to be there today. How quickly after your accident were you saying to your bosses, come on, get me back in that car, I want to be driving?
Well, straight away. I was already speaking to the doctors in Hungary, in the hospital, and then my wife was saying, no, you will not race in Valencia. And then I spoke to the doctor. You need to tell her, you need to take in your hand what's happened. Otherwise, because if we listen to my wife, I would not race anymore, you know. But I wanted to race straight away. But then, you know, step by step, I was looking what's happened, you know, with me in every details, and it's better to wait a little bit more.
Felipe, I believe you were given your crash helmet back from the Budapest Grand Prix this weekend. Any special emotions when you look at the damage to that helmet, and have you kept that anywhere particular? Or?
What, sorry?
The crash helmet that you wore in the Budapest Grand Prix, you were giving it back to you. You have the helmet at home.
Yeah, I have the helmet in my house already. I think, you know, it's a very good history, you know, of my life, and then I put already in the in my house, and you know, I think the helmet was very good because it saved me completely. Even the doctors were saying, you know, if it were 1 centimeter a little bit here, you could have lost your view, or maybe you could not talking anymore. You know, it was very close.
And does having a moment like that worry you about driving again in Formula One, or is the fact that you survived mean that you're now quite confident in the quality of the cars and the helmets?
No, I really I don't care. You know, I want to drive again as quick as possible. I don't believe anything. I don't remember anything about the accident. So which is good. You know, in the working. You know, to get back to the car as I was on the last Monday, pushing hard straight away. Is much better because I don't remember anything from the accident.
Well, it's great to see you back here, and of course it was a pretty emotional time here as well 12 months ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
All right, fantastic. We're so pleased that you're back in the car for 2010. And Fernando Alonso is your teammate, of course.
Yeah, you will be.
You will be. That'll be interesting, won't it?
Yeah, it will be. I hope we can do a very good job for the team. And for sure, you know, in the track, I want to be in front of him, he wants to be in front of him, but that's the good thing about the sport. The the most important thing is that we have a good car and we're pushing hard inside the team to have the best.
OK, Felipe, thank you very much indeed. Take care. Nice to see you again.
Thank you, Dave.
Right, 30 minutes until the race gets going. Let's find Martin Brundle, because Martin Brundle's got a story to tell us as well about getting involved in Formula One and having an accident. He's actually had a brain injury in the past from a nasty moment. Martin was racing, believe it or not, here, and Jos Verstappen's car came right across, and the actual car hit Martin on the head.
Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! That is Martin Brundle out of the McLaren.
Well, Martin, certainly not fond memories. When you've been through a moment like that, how does it make a driver feel about racing in Formula One?
Well, I got hit on the head very hard then. It shows you how much the security and medical aspects have changed in Formula One since '94, because I walked back to the pit, collapsed at one point, debriefed and flew home, and it was only when I got home my family took one look at me and took me to the hospital. But when you have a knock on the head like that, as Felipe has had, and I had another situation where I knocked my foot off my leg back in '84, and I was out of the car for 9 months, exactly the amount of time that Felipe will be between racing in Grand Prix, and your head starts playing games then. You start to question your abilities, doubt yourself, and I think as bright and breezy as Felipe's seen, he's got to go through that this winter before he can jump back in the car. Testing's one thing, racing's quite another.
Well, you can hear the cars roaring up at the moment. Giancarlo Fisichella, who of course has taken the race seat from Felipe Massa, is just preparing to leave the Ferrari garage at the moment. Will we not really know whether Felipe's going to be OK to carry on racing until he actually turns up to his first Formula One race in March 2010? Is that when we'll really know if he's OK?
Yeah, I think he won't know until he sits on the grid. His wife will probably be the first to know whether that really big knock on the head changed his emotions in some way, you know, on this front corner of your skull here. So I think he's still got a lot of work to do before he's ready to win a world championship. And you know what? Having Fernando Alonso as my new teammate would not be what I'd ideally want if I was him.
No, Kimi Raikkonen's headed out onto the grid. He'll be looking for a great race, because of course he hasn't got very long left with Ferrari now. Shaping up lovely for today, isn't it? You're looking forward to your grid walk, because the atmosphere out there is something special.
I am indeed. I think it's going to be a very tense race. We have a topsy-turvy grid. Cars are out of position to how we'd normally expect to see them, but some of them on performance alone. It's not just because of the dodgy weather that we had yesterday, but certainly some cars like Button and Vettel are out of position compared to the potential speed of their cars.
Right, well, I know that you've actually got to climb down a wall to get onto the grid here, so I'll let you go and do that. Nice to chat. See you very shortly. So we've now heard from two of the guys who are looking to pick up the Drivers' World Championship this weekend, but what of the third? Sebastian Vettel. It was a qualifying session for him to forget last night, and he actually stormed away from the circuit before he did any media or spoke to anybody about what had happened. However, when he got in this morning, Lee McKenzie made sure she grabbed a quick chat with him.
What a very different day we have from yesterday. The sun's shining, you've almost got a smile on your face. You've had a bit of time since qualifying. Just tell us how you're feeling.
I'm feeling good. Obviously yesterday was a bad day for us, so we can't change yesterday, but we can change today. So I'm looking forward, obviously not starting from the best position in the grid, but still, you know, we are here to fight, we want to race, and you know, we are ready to attack today.
I bet you didn't expect to be alongside Jenson Button when I spoke to you at that stage yesterday.
No, it looked like he wanted to make us a present yesterday, but we didn't use it, so let's see what happens today. It's a very long race here. I think the last 2 years have been very exciting, so wouldn't mind if there's another exciting race. And maybe at the moment the sun is shining, but maybe later on we see some showers, and then it's always, you know, things can happen. So try to stay on the track. I think we have a decent, very good pace, so it should be good.
And everyone's been talking about what you have to do. Your championship chances are in the hands of others, but also you need to finish first or second. Realistically, what are you aiming for today?
First or second. I mean, it's a very long way, but you know, I'm motivated, and I know it's not an easy position to start from, so we will see what happens. But as I say, it's a long, long way, and so far no one has scored any point yet, so we will see.
Best of luck. Thank you.
Thanks.
Lights out coming your way very shortly. You can see behind us everybody making their way down to the grid. It's a small, tight, compact grid. Martin's grid walk coming your way very shortly. What Sebastian Vettel now needs, David, is the perfect day and the perfect race. And we've actually seen as his car was making its way to the grid, we saw something come off the car. We're not too sure what this is. Perhaps you could take a look and give us your thoughts on this.
Yeah, well, that's
Looks like something's come out of there. Obviously, either a pack of dry ice or something. That actually looks a bit more substantial than dry ice. That could be the drink system, actually. Looked like it was covered in some sort of insulation material. Eddie?
I think it's dry ice. I think what has happened is they've been left. People want the car to be as cool as possible at this particular stage coming, and it is still very warm here, and it's possibly dry ice because you can still see the fumes coming away from it.
OK, well, Martin's gearing up for his grid walk. I do know that he wants to speak to the 3 title protagonists, so hopefully he'll speak to Sebastian Vettel very shortly, and we will find out what that was that fell off Sebastian's car, and if we find out very shortly, we will let you know as well. Let's talk about the race then. Let's talk about how you see things shaping up. We're getting very close. We talked about the fact that you believe there's no pressure on Rubens Barrichello. Jenson Button has been questioned all season long. Is he a worthy Formula 1 champion? He has said, hey, this is 17 races throughout the season, and the man with the most points deserves to be world champion. Where do you guys stand on this matter?
Absolutely, there's no question. Whoever has the most points, and in the case of if they're all equal, whoever has the most wins, he is the worthy world champion. It's simple. That's the rules. That's the game. And it's not a matter whether you come at the beginning or come at the end. It's whoever has the most points, and whoever that is a worthy world champion.
Yeah, I agree with that. I just don't understand those that would question it. At the end of the day, he can only drive the car he's got. He started the season with the quickest car, unquestionably. The double diffuser scenario in the first part of the season allowed other teams to catch up. He doesn't have the quickest car just now. Obviously, he's not getting as much out of it as Rubens, but nonetheless, he's still leading the World Championship.
We've been told by Red Bull that, in fact, they do believe it is just some dry ice that fell off Sebastian Vettel's car. Jenson Button's got a rather interesting race to go now, because in some ways he's got nothing to lose, Eddie. It's one of these races where he can just pick up a few points. It makes Rubens Barrichello's job even harder in Abu Dhabi, if indeed it does go to Abu Dhabi. And Ross Brawn has said some of Jenson's overtakes this season have been like a surgeon's knife. They've been so precise and so perfect. We saw one on Robert Kubica in the last race. He could have an interesting afternoon here. He could have some fun, couldn't he?
Well, yes, you come back, but just let me just momentarily talk to you about Rubens, and that is, in the interview we just seen in the clip, he talked about winning here probably as being the miracle, so to speak, or the fairy tale. And he's very lucky in a way, because the pressure of the championship has been eroded somewhat for a very short period, because he wants to win here more than anything else in his life. That's the key.
Would Jenson want to just pick up a couple of points here to win the world title? Let's say if Rubens Barrichello has a few problems, loses a few places, and Jenson wins the title by finishing 6th. I mean, that's not the way he'll want to win a world championship, is it?
A world championship is a world championship. Does it really matter how you win it? The bottom line is, I think his main thought at this moment will be getting through those first 2 corners. Once he gets through there and he's going through turn 3 and he's on that run down to the back straight to turn 4, he'll then take a breath and then start worrying about whether he can score points here today or not.
People will be wondering about what the futures of all these drivers are, because very few drivers are signed up for next season. We've had a little look inside the Brawn garage. We saw those sort of tyres stacked up between the 2 cars. Both of these drivers at the moment haven't got their sort of season sorted out for next year. We can see Jenson making his way round to the grid now. Are you surprised that these guys haven't signed up for next year already, or they haven't sorted something out within the team? Because it's just another thing to worry about.
Be a Kickstarter, and the Kickstarter in this case was Alonso, but then it's been sort of procrastinated over the situation with Raikkonen. As soon as we know what he's doing, and it really is a clear-cut fight for me, it's either McLaren or Toyota. They're the only 2 people who, in my view, can pay the kind of salary that he is looking for, and that happens. And of course, actually all the teams more or less have their guys put aside. It's just they're not releasing it to us guys of the press, and they're keeping us on tender hooks, and that's their prerogative.
Yeah, I'm surprised that Brawn haven't made an announcement on Jenson and come to an agreement. It's a dangerous game as the various drivers start to nearly lost Eddie there, run over. We are standing in the pit lane, so it's going to be dangerous. Yeah, I'm surprised they haven't got that pressure out of the system, and just, you know, he's driven well. He's won 6 Grand Prix. He deserves the payment.
We'll find out how he's feeling about being on the grid, I think. Don't worry about it. That's 1-1. I nearly got run over in Turkey.
Have you noticed? He's saving me.
He didn't save me when I nearly got run over. Right, it's looking very busy down there on the grid at the moment. Somewhere in the middle of all of the mayhem, with the fans cheering and getting involved and having their fun, is Martin Brundle. So let's join him now for his grid walk ahead of the Brazilian Grand Prix. Martin.
Hello team, again welcome to the grid. Slightly unusual here because it's a long uphill climb for most of them, but the back of the grid actually is on a downhill slope. They'll adjust the clutch maps and the software and to make it better for the drivers to cope with that gradient. And the grid's slightly offset. There's a reasonable run down to the first corner, a scene of many first corner incidents here. Let's see if we can find a driver or 2. Rubens Barrichello has left the grid and is hopefully we'll try and grab him when he's on his way back with a bit of luck, which is exactly what he's doing now. So let's go straight in here for the story. And our pole sitter, the crowd, cheering for you, Rubens. I think it's very clear who all these guys up here want to win this Grand Prix today. Can you do it?
Yeah, I can. I think that we have a great car on this condition. If it does rain, we need to get it correct at the time. It's a lottery, we know. So I just need to be up to it. I'm feeling very good. My feet are on the ground. I just have to push as hard as I can my brown today.
Well, it's really hot, isn't it? But all the teams are still talking about some rain through the Grand Prix. Is that the same for you guys?
Yeah, that's what we're expecting. Some of that. Let's hope it's only for the end of the race, but it could happen.
Would I be right thinking that Mark Webber's got a slightly faster car than you, do you think, in dry conditions?
It could do, but I'll make it up to it.
Okay, good luck. Let's wander across and see if we can find the Aussie sitting on the front row of the grid. Did a great job in qualifying, and then I want to try and get back and see Button and co before we get too far down. We'll get down here and give everybody a clue that we'd quite like you 9 million people to have a quick word with Mark here. Mark, this is a race you can win, isn't it?
Yep, we're going to give it our best shot. Be nice to try and quieten the crowd down at some stage today. They're very keen, obviously, for Rubens to do well. But, you know, my guys have done a phenomenal job this weekend. Tricky session yesterday, as we also were in qualifying. And now we put ourselves in a good position to get a good result, and we're going for the victory.
You'll need a police escort out of here if you beat Rubens Barrichello. But
you
needed one in.
Yeah, the crowd, they're very passionate and emotional, and yeah, I don't think they're my biggest fan today so far, but they're races as well. The fans, they want to see a good car race, so we'll try and do it.
Now, in a 50-50 situation, do you see Rubens as a man who's got a championship to think about and you haven't, that he might just jump out of your way or not?
I've told him 8 points is enough for him today, so I don't think he agreed.
You've been over and spoken to him about it?
Yesterday after quality, I said 8 points is enough. Give me 10, so, but it's not going to be like that. Look, you know, it's a long race. We'll see how the pit stops go in terms of strategy. And it's the first time we've run with this sort of track temperature. A lot of firsts. You can feel, we know when the sun comes out just now, you know, it's very strong. We're in good shape.
Good luck. Right, we've got to try and do 7 rows on the grid, something I've never managed to achieve on a grid walk, because I really want to try and speak to the other 2 championship contenders, or at least one of them, down the far end here after disastrous qualifying positions, of course, for Button, Vettel. The 2 McLarens are just behind them. We're walking past the Toro Rosso, the Williams that had a disappointing qualifying run. They looked like they had more pace than that. BMWs have been surprisingly quick from time to time. Kubica's car there, I think, could be a bit of a spoiler for people like Button and Vettel, who are hoping to cruise through and score some World Championship points. Kobayashi here for Toyota. Entirely sure what he looks like. He's standing in for Glock. I'm sure his name will be on his overalls probably, or even if he speaks English. But there he is. That's Mr. Kobayashi. But he did a good job, 7th on the grid. So that tells me we've still got a long way to go. Mr. Kobayashi, quick word. BBC Martin Brundle. Good grid position. Congratulations. What can you do from here?
Thank you very much. Yesterday it was really different. I mean, difficult condition. I didn't expect I can finish P11, but I think still performance was really good. So I'm sure I was in the P3 yesterday, but today is another day with dry conditions, so I tried to do best.
Okay, good luck. Well, at least we know him now, don't we? And Jensen apparently is not on the grid, which is thoroughly disappointing. Let's see if Sebastian Vettel is there. He's talking to Rocky, his engineer, and we'll just try and catch his eye. Tanya, look, we've got to stop meeting like this because we're still very much live here, and we'll talk to him together then, because I've only got a little time left. Sebastian, you've got a race-winning car, but you've not got a race-winning grid position.
Well, I mean, you know, it's always a little chance to win, even though you start from the back. So let's see what we can do. For sure, it would be nicer to start at the front. We don't. So it's a long race. Anything is possible here.
But those McLarens could be ahead of you before the first corner, couldn't they, with their KERS buttons?
Yeah, they could. But, you know, they need to start up to 100 kph, a good start as well. And in the past, we had good starts. So let's see for here. It's a long way from down here, the bottom end of the grid. So for sure it's a track.
And now in your own language for the lovely Tanya. Right, how long have I got? I've got a minute, apparently. So we'll keep an eye out to see if Jensen returns from his comfort break. Hello, Matt. Nearly forgot about you there. Who else we got down here? Any more drivers? Dr. Aki Hintze, the guru of McLaren. Your drivers are not on the grid, Aki, but what do you think they can do from down here?
Easy answer. They will do their best, like always. But of course, it's not easy. Let's see. Weather conditions, they are playing very important role at today's race, and the guys know that. Why we are here, it is the consequence of yesterday, the qualifying. And
well, you're the mind bender at McLaren. Do you think they've got a positive mindset from here?
Yeah, for sure. They are racing drivers, and they know their job, and the mind setting is, if you are in the front row or if you are here, mind setting should be always exact, perfect, and easy way.
Okay. Bye bye.
Well, if your hearing's very good indeed, you may have worked out that that was the Brazilian national anthem by Daniela Mercury. The fans are in the stands, the sun is shining, we're set for another Brazilian Grand Prix. Don't forget, the last 4 of these races have crowned the last 4 Formula One world champions. Are we set to see another world champion crowned today? The first British back-to-back world champions in 40 years. Well, the only man that can do that is Jenson Button, and he's been speaking to Lee McKenzie.
Jenson Button, just tell us how you're feeling before the race.
I'm feeling good. This is a circuit I enjoy racing on, and it's nice and dry, hot, which is good. So yeah, it's going to be a challenge, but yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Turn 1, lap 1's always pretty chaotic round here. You've got some unknowns in front of you.
Yeah, I know. We'll make the best of it. Cheers.
Well, a sort of wry grin and a bit of a laugh there from Jenson. It is worth pointing out, though, that the 3 guys in front of him have got very little Formula One experience, and the guy next to him is just going to push on and try and go for the win. How concerned is he going to be about those guys? Is it dangerous to be worried about other drivers?
Well, no, it's not dangerous. It's part of the game at the start of a Grand Prix to worry about the other drivers, or certainly try and work out what they're likely to do. And with 3 inexperienced guys in front of him, and Kobayashi and Alguersuari and Grosjean, it's anybody's guess at this stage of the season what they're going to do. They're relatively inexperienced, and they've never gone through this very difficult turn one before.
OK, so Jenson Button starts in the middle of the pack. The man who stole his teammate's thunder yesterday was Red Bull's Mark Webber, while Jenson Button gears up to work out precisely how to do really well at this race. Perhaps Mark Webber can give us an insight.
Mark, Interlagos, 3.3 miles, just 71 seconds for the lap. That's an average speed of about 135 miles an hour. Take us through the first few corners.
Well, turn one, you arrive over a crest, braking incredibly hard. Also a very good overtaking opportunity on this track. You've got to be very accurate in turn one because you've got to hug the curb on the inside and get yourself lined up for a downhill section into turn two. Very important to get a good exit because then you run onto a medium length back straight, which runs you down into turn four. Heavy application again on the brakes.
And this is where you really earn your money, in this midfield sector. We're at a spot here that's one of the best views in Grand Prix racing, I would say.
It's a sensational view, actually. You can see obviously the cars. We come around the little kink there, which is easy, flatten the drive. Probably it will be a corner in greasy conditions. And then into this fantastic double right, which is very, very fast on the way in. Gets a bit tighter we get further around. You don't see on TV really how steep this is, and also your eye line is very low, and then you've got to pick your braking point up, you know, getting into turn 8 there.
Whatever the types of car, the setups, the year, I can remember, I've seen Formula One cars steaming in there with the right front wheel locked up. Why is it so difficult?
I think it's a bit of the camber change going on, the asphalt, but also it's such a tight corner, so we're using quite a bit of brake pressure to try and decelerate the car, get it into the corner. So you're right, you'll see a lot of front locking there for the right tyre, and a little bit of smoke, of course. So cutting back as well, we need to get back on to the right a little bit, ready for the next corner, which is 9, which again is like a horseshoe, a very miniature horseshoe, but very undulating again. Short little acceleration up to 10, and then again front locking is an issue into there, a lot of camber change, and massively tight. These corners have to be flowing, and you need to be very good on the way in, picking your apexes up incredibly accurately, and then clean exits.
Young Cow turned 12. It always seemed to surprise me somehow. Every time I went in there, the car's all bound up. You're taking too much speed in on the brakes. It's a difficult corner to get right.
It is. It's a really frustrating run. Second, third gear, not quite sure. A bit bumpy on the inside. You're looking to obviously straight line the corner as much as you can, but one of the most important, if not the most important corners on the track. And the exit is crucial, so you can't lose too much time on the way in. You need to get a clean exit. So, but like I say, 1/10 around here is massive.
And then on that short pit straight, when you finally get to the top of the hill, with the grandstands and the walls and the pit wall, a bit of a tunnel effect there.
Yeah, and the walls are high, very high. The inside wall's incredibly high, so you generally send your pit board guys further down because turn 1 comes quite quickly. So we pop out of there, try and catch the board when we can, and then we're into 1. So like you say, there's a lot of things happening, which is a little bit different to a normal home straight.
And the Red Bull around this circuit?
Should be good. Yeah, it should be good. Curves won't be too dusty here at all. They can start the lap with it, and then they've got another 6 seconds to finish the lap. So on a short lap, that's going to be quite powerful. You know, we're looking. It's going to be an interesting weekend weather-wise. I'm looking to get some scores on the doors, and yeah, looking forward to the race.
Great insight there from Mark Webber. Just to remind you that you can, of course, watch today's race on the BBC Sport website, and all of the guides to all the different circuits in Formula One can be found on the website as well. So Mark Webber looking for a really strong end to 2009. He starts in 2nd position, but how's he and the rest of the top 10 set for the race? Here's Ted with the fuel weights. Ted.
Well, the secret is that Mark Webber has a great chance of putting a very big 10 points of scores on the doors because he's got the best strategy. He's got 3 laps worth more of fuel than Rubens Barrichello, and as long as he stays within Barrichello in the first stint, he should pass him at the first stops. As for Jenson Button, all the way down there on the grid, well, he's got a mountain to climb. In order to make his strategy work, he has to get past Alguersuari and Grosjean in front of him. If he does, he's got a good chance of scoring maybe 1 or 2 points, 6th place and 3 points if he's very lucky. So if we have a look at the first stop laps, you can see that Rubens Barrichello is the first in on lap 21, same as Kimi Räikkönen. Rosberg and Kubica set for a race battle, both on 23. Mark Webber doesn't have to pit until lap 24, same for Sutil. Button goes all the way to lap 30. Vettel on to 35, a long strategy that could score him some points.
Thanks, Ted. Looking very good indeed. OK, gentlemen, are we going to see the world champion decided today? Very quick, David?
I don't think it's possible for Jenson today.
OK.
Don't think so.
OK, well, 12 months ago, this race belonged to Lewis Hamilton. Can Jenson Button now follow in his footsteps and become the Formula One world champion? Over to your commentators, Martin Brundle and Jonathan Ledyard.